Welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be speaking with Ian Galvin of Vallejo Projects, and we're going to be talking about 3 of the biggest mistakes you can make in home renovations. When you do it right, things can just be amazing. When you don't, it can be expensive and cause unneeded stress. Welcome, Ian. Thank you so much for joining us today. I thought of you first off because I know you have over 30 years experience in residential construction and all that, but Vallejo Projects has been around for a number of years too, right?
Yes, about 13, 14 years.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So let's just get right down to it because when we're doing renovations, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. I was actually talking to a client the other day and they actually ended up having to spend $350,000 in issues from renovation mistakes and lawsuits and that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty major thing.
It is. Well, thanks, Eric, for inviting me to speak on this and share about this. I've seen some things too in my time when things don't go right, and often it's a lack of front-end planning or not tight enough front-end planning. Mm-hmm. And when that's done properly, you can avoid a lot of these potential disasters down the line of the project. Right.
So with that in mind, let's just dive into mistake number 1.
Not hiring a competent professional, a designer at the front end of it. Some build services design and build. They have that in-house. Others do not. So it's important for people to really ask that question to themselves first and foremost, is how they're going to plan the project, who's going to advise them. Mm-hmm. Few people in my experience have the knack or the ability or even the willingness to do that stuff in detail. Mm-hmm. Produce the permit-ready drawings, make all the selections, decide what finished materials are going to be used, and colors right down to colors of cabinets, what type of countertops, flooring, walls, all of that. It's very important to have that defined at the front.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
And it just makes such a difference seeing it when everything's done properly. I see people trying to do it themselves, and they buy one thing on sale and another thing on sale. They'll have 7 different floorings when they're trying to do it themselves. So when it comes time to sell, it's very obvious when an amateur's done it versus when they've had a designer. So
it does too, and then too with people supplying their own goods and then looking for people to install them. That can be often not running very smooth if there's a mistake in selection or a supplier doesn't get it right. Mm-hmm. Who's gonna look after them?
Right.
Who's gonna make a broken toilet right and things like that?
Right. So that would actually be mistake number 2 then. So trying to be your own supplier?
Yeah.
Okay.
I advise people not to. In fact, I advise people not to quite a bit. It depends on the scale of project. If it's a small 2-fixture bathroom redo, a cabinet countertop, well then, that's a different conversation.
Sure.
I'm specifically looking at larger projects and much longer duration and more involved.
Yeah. Well, it can even haunt you on smaller ones. As you know, I've fixed up a number of houses and turned them over, and I've tried to cheap out a couple times buying things at auction, for example. I bought hardwood floor at auction, and they're all milled different sizes.
Yes.
I thought I was getting a great deal, but it wasn't a great deal when I had to plane them down and try and make them the same size.
Yes,
so,
yeah, that's common.
Yeah, so nowhere to bring them back, right?
Nowhere to bring them back, no return, or who's going to help you with the warranty.
Exactly.
On a big box store scenario where you're bringing something back, stand in line for almost half a day, and then end up you don't really know where that's going to go.
Yeah.
Whereas particularly with plumbing supply and install, the plumbing provider will look after all of that.
Right. Perfect. Okay. So mistake number 3.
Mistake number 3 would be not asking enough questions, assuming, and then looking at your project, visit it on a regular basis, make arrangements with your contractor to review with the contractor at certain times, maybe even ask that contractor what would be good times to do project reviews so that you can catch some things before it's too late. Projects move at certain momentum. Some process of the project will move faster than others. And that's a good way to prevent things that might have got missed. You catch them. It's a good way to get a little more intimate with your project versus checking it at the end or maybe not checking in enough.
Okay. So on that with the contractor, what are the rules around if the contractor wants to get an advance or?
Competent contractor should be licensed for that, and that's through the Alberta government. There's a specific license for that. So I would say to people, always ask for that or proof of that licensing, and beware of really large requests for draws unless it's defined. Typically front-end draws could be substantial if there's a lot of pre-order materials that take weeks to amass and get to the project. Some of them are long-range orders, some of them are not. So one of the things to ask would be at each specific draw, what kind of goods and services does that draw represent?
Right.
You know, be unafraid to ask the questions.
All right. Thanks again, Ian, for the 3 mistakes. If you want more information on preparing for your renovation, send us a direct message and we'll send you a report on how to do that. Until next time, I'm Eric Mortimer, helping you solve your problems and realize your dreams.